have been growing calls for tighter security at schools across the country, given devastating attacks on pupils and educators in recent weeks. But the MEC for Education in Gauteng says there just isn't enough budget to hire security companies. Meanwhile, SADTU's teachers union, SADTU, says threats against principals have been increasing over the last 2 weeks.
The fatal shooting of Deputy Principal at Bomolong Secondary School has brought school security into sharp focus, but there are constraints, as the Gauteng Education MEC explains.
The problem with education and health is because they receive the last chunk of the budget. People assume that we've got budget for everything. The largest cost of our education department, including here in Gauteng, 80% goes to salaries of teachers. 80% of our budget. So we are left with 20%. That 20%, what must do? We must build schools, must buy stationery, must buy furniture, must pay municipalities for water and lights. So that 20% can't cover to have people are calling for metal detectors, for example. That when you enter every school, there must be a metal detector. People are saying that we must have permanent security guards, armed security guards. And those that in the security industry will tell you, one armed security guard, how much?
Meanwhile, Teachers Union SADTU says the community needs to play a more active role in safeguarding their schools.
We need to be discussing a number of safety mechanisms that are necessary at school. As for the metal detectors, it depends on what type of metal detectors the MEC is talking about. Clearly, it is that the random searching in terms of weapons, whether it's a firearm or any dangerous weapons that are being brought into the schools, those particular metal detectors can help.
Equal Education says the issue of safety and security should have been addressed ages ago.
Safety and security has been an issue. Even Equal Education, we have been advocating for that for years, especially in Western Cape, because there was a time there was the safety was a concern in most schools, and it's also happening in Gauteng, but all schools are actually facing that. And I think it's time the department starts to assess everything.
More alarming still is that in the last 2 weeks, SADTU has been inundated with calls from teachers saying they are being threatened.
In the past 2 weeks, some of the principals have been calling me, and some of them have been visited by these particular people that are threatening them. And in particular, these are parents, are not people that they are not known. They are known to say, I want my child to progress to the next class. If you don't allow my child to progress to the next class, this is what is going to happen. The other one was told that you don't come to school. This is what is going to happen to you if you report to this particular school. And so for the community is not standing up to protect that, because there's no assessment process.
With back to school in full swing countrywide, violence will most probably continue to remain a challenge in our schools. Heidi Giokos, Johannesburg.